Hello, everyone. What's going on? And welcome to the first special edition, breaking news of the TNT podcast.
Although I think we're just TN tonight,
the
though.
T-
We're missing our last
the
T.
TN podcast. We're one of the strongest human.
Tri-beam!
And then he just keeps locking him in that hole.
Oh, jeez.
So you'll never get out of the hole.
So,
Anyway,
we're here with a special episode this weekend.
this is a special episode. Yeah. Originally, this was planned because this is being recorded literally less than 48 hours before I moved to Ohio to start my new job. And originally, I wasn't going to have internet for a whole week. But I just found out I'll get it back right away, so we'll be able to do the regular podcast. But we still wanted to talk about this because there's a ton of Magic news this week because it is the 25th anniversary announcement week because there's stuff coming next year.
I'm really glad we actually waited to the end of the week because there's so much has happened since we recorded the podcast on Wednesday.
I am taking full credit for this idea because I also wanted to save Tyler the pain of sitting here for like, oh yeah, Tim, I'm not going to want to do this. It's terrible. I hate Magic.
Yeah.
No.
Unfortunately, he's not a planeswalker. He's more of the King of Games type of guy. Blue Eyes White Dragon, whatnot. But, we were joking.
He does play the Yu-Gi-Oh game on his phone while we're all hanging out and playing D&D.
He does. But we were joking around on Wednesday that, we could have made our full episode just about the announcements.
And that's only gotten bigger.
Little did we know it wasn't a joke.
Little did we know there was crazier stuff yet to come. So we're going to break this down by 6 sets, or probably even more, because some of these days are... So every single day this
days
week,
plus bonus round.
Yeah, well, every single day this week, Wizards had some kind of announcement, and one of them we're just going to ignore because we didn't really care. But there was a lot of stuff, and it was an unfortunate week for leaks. A little unfortunate, a little bit.
That was brutal.
We'll get to that at the end, though, but we have a lot to talk about. So, we're going to start with Monday. Monday rolls around, and Morrow is announcing on his Tumblr that he has big announcements, and he's doing an article called Metamorphosis 2.0. And the last time he did an article called Metamorphosis was when they announced the 2-block structure.
Yeah, I think this was just before Khans of Tarkir when they announced that just a weird structure that Fate Reforged was a pivot set and that Dragons of Tarkir exists as its own block with, was it Magic Origins?
No. What?
No, it was during Metamorphosis 1.0 that they announced the new block structure. But it was at the beginning of Khans of Tarkir when this announcement came out.
Yeah, they announced it, but it was going to take effect after Magic Origins because Magic Origins was the final core set.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But like he was describing that with their design philosophy. They were going to pivot away. Like this was the last 3-block set they were planning, and Dragons of Tarkir kind of stand on its own with another set in terms of rotation. And from that point on, it was 2 set blocks with a rotation after the 3rd block had finished.
Yeah,
essentially.
But so everyone was like, "What is it? Oh man, is this what scale of announcement could there be here?" And they have changed the block structure again, or should I say, the non-existent block structure, because there are no more blocks.
Don't exist anymore.
This is some wild stuff. So after the 2-block structure was announced, that was basically every year there was a fall set and a spring set were the 2 main big sets, and they were the start of a block. And then in the winter and the summer, there was a small set that would be the second half.
Or a continuation of the 2 big sets.
Yeah, as a continuation, like that. So one big set leads into a small set, and that's a block. And there's 2 of them every year, and that's the only mainline products for the whole year. Now, we're changing it again. We are going back to 3 sets a year plus a core set. However, instead of 1 block containing those 3 sets, a big, small, and big, they are all going to be independent large sets.
Which is pretty interesting because I know you just said big, small, big, but that hasn't always been the case with Magic. I know prior to Rise of the Eldrazi, I think it was very uncommon for them to do the 3rd set as a large set. It was almost always big, small, small,
big, small,
or even before that, they were experimenting in Lorwyn Morningtide of doing the 2-block kind of idea.
But it has almost always been pretty consistently. It's been a 3-set block. Then it was the 2-set block. Now it's the no blocks.
Yeah.
So
They're doing.
every large set is meant to be drafted alone. No more mixing drafting sets.
I know a lot of limited players are very excited about this just because of accessibility. When you
Yeah.
wanted to draft a small set, you literally could not draft a small set on its own
Yep.
because it wasn't designed to be drafted on its own. It was designed to be drafted with the large set.
Which is frustrating because you never get to see half the when you draft the first big set, it's only those cards, but when you draft the second set and you want to see the second set's cards, well, sorry, a third of your cards are not from this set. Like it just sucks.
It does kind of suck. You end up opening stuff you've already been playing with for like what, 3 months at that point. This was way more annoying. Like my favorite draft structure used to be when the third set of a block came out and you were doing full block draft, because then you like with single set drafts you see a lot of the same cards. And now that I've drafted more frequently, I actually prefer that because it gives you some kind of consistency in your deck. But when I started drafting, I was like, this is cool. I just want to see as many different random creatures in this deck as possible. Like I love the randomness aspect, and that kind of plays into why I like playing EDH. But the more I drafted, the more I realized like single block or single set drafting. Yeah, single set drafting was kind of my more preferred. It kind of had to do a lot with like the master sets and kind of being familiar with, what's going to be in the pool. Which of these commons do I definitely want to see? Which ones am I likely to see more of? Yeah, there's a little less randomness. And you can kind of build a better deck because of that.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of drafters are really happy to hear this.
Yeah, and it's interesting from a story perspective because they announced while there are no more blocks, the fact that a set stands alone doesn't mean the story has to stand alone.
No, they did also want to point out that, even though these sets are individual, it does not mean that every set is its own plane. So someone thought out like, okay, they might do a return in the middle, but for something like going forward, if you go back to Ravnica and they're like, okay, we clearly can't do all 10 guilds in a set, and they have enough of a story that they say, we really do have enough content here that we can do 2 large sets back to back in the same plane with a continuous story, they will. They're not constraining themselves to locking in and saying this story has to be this long and then we have to go somewhere else.
Legitimately, I believe that Ravnica is the reason for this.
Most likely. They cannot fit all 10 guilds into one set, but it's one of those sets where both of those big sets with Ravnica stuff will sell.
Because the biggest problem with Return to Ravnica was the big set had like a bunch of stuff, and then a lot of the guilds got kind of shafted in the later sets.
Yeah.
So having 2 or even 3, Morrow specifically says in the article we could have like 2 or 3 sets for a single plane. That's crazy.
It was pretty cool hearing this, but I was concerned about how that fits into rotation. Like if you have 2 sets, like you want to do Ravnica, but they're on like the border of when a rotation happens, you may have half of the Ravnica grouping rotate out.
That's true, but I think I have to imagine they'd
probably plan it out in advance.
But the other thing is they don't have to worry about as much. There's not going to be this cross-pollination of answers. Like, Amonkhet has all these artifact answers because Kaladesh was so big, but they didn't print enough answers in Kaladesh, so things got so dominant, like Aetherworks Marvel, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And Amonkhet didn't bring enough answers because they weren't ready for how much Kaladesh kind of took over Standard. So I genuinely think that even though they felt like they had printed enough answers back then, Standard turned out much differently than they had hoped.
We're actually already kind of seeing the effects now, especially in what we've seen from Hour of Devastation. There are a lot more answers in this set that work at instant speed, which has been one of like the biggest problems so far. Is it was just like, fuck it, everything's sorcery speed. New players don't like combat tricks. They don't like bounce spells. They don't like whatever. But they're realizing that you can't only focus on the new players. You gotta.
Which is why another part of his announcement was, like I said, the return of the core set. Supposedly, the core sets are going to be 50% reprints, 50% new cards, and are geared towards good drafting environments for new players.
So I have always been a big fan of the core sets. Like, I don't know why Wizards thought it wasn't a good idea, but everyone who I've gotten into Magic, I've always started them on some of the core sets because it always has very easy to pick up cards. Like, I can show them green, and they know green is more mana, bigger creatures. It was very simple. It's very easy to understand. White was always like life gain or like first strike or some like very core concepts that are like close to the colors that new players could grasp very easily. And I'm excited to see they're bringing this back. They did announce, though, that they're focusing more and more on the new player. So I know as an experienced player, I might be a little upset with the way it goes. But
But that's why they're doing all these reprints for you
yeah,
guys.
I'm personally not too upset about it because one of the things about core sets is they're able to print these very generic core cards that you need to make Magic
Yeah.
good. Like when I started playing, which was I started it during Theros block and I played standard, and I was playing my cousin's modern deck, some casual stuff, and I love the card Oblivion Ring because you can play like turn 3 is not like too fast to be answering stuff. It can answer anything, but it sits there. Someone can interact with someone, get their stuff back. It's generally a fair card, and I loved it. And they didn't print it in M14, but then they like essentially reprinted it in Journey into Nyx with Banishing Light, and that was a good card. It was safe for standard. It was fun for new players. It was very easy to understand.
Yep.
And when the core sets were gone, suddenly I stopped seeing cards that were either straight up reprints or even very similar to these cards. And I think it's necessary that these very simple cards that new players can understand and that constructed players can use in standard. It's very important this is all there.
Thinking about it, it's also kind of cool because Morrow has talked about ever since this 2-block system about how they've been finding it really hard to find good reprints for places unless they're incredibly generic. And there's a lot of cards that aren't incredibly generic that they need a place for, which is what the core sets were good at. But at the same time, they don't want to do reprints because they want to explore the block more and they want to use that space.
Yeah, that was one of the problems with going from 3 sets to 2 is that you physically had less cards to show your world in. So they didn't want to dilute it with reprints.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody kind of wins now. And now that the other 3 sets are all large, they have a few more card spaces in all of them to do new things. And they don't have to worry about reprints.
This is something I thought was very interesting was Morrow said, it was during Metamorphosis 1.0, he talked about how Wizards always had a problem with the 3rd set, that they're either like holding back mechanics or people didn't like them. But more often than not, they realized this. And as a player who jumped into Theros, it was pretty obvious to me, was that small sets are generally not received as well.
No.
When I jumped in, Gatecrash had just shit its way through the community, and Born of the Gods was on the horizon. And both those sets were poorly received. Journey into Nyx tried to fix it because they're like, oh shit, Born of the Gods is the worst set ever. But then, I remember when Fate Reforged came out, it wasn't a bad set, but no one was talking about it. There wasn't too much hype outside of Ugin.
Yeah.
And it was kind of obvious to me that no one liked playing in the small sets. They're just waiting for the big sets to come out. And I mean, it's pretty obvious, at least from a financial standpoint, that people don't crack open packs from small sets as much. I remember when Serum Visions was pushing $20, the 2 reasons people said were A, it's old, and B, it was from a small set. Yeah. And when I started playing, I didn't understand, why does that matter? There's less cards, you're more likely to open it. But then you have the whole issue right now with Fatal Push being a $50 foil for an uncommon that's currently in print. And, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat and channel Rudy from Alpha Investments and say that Wizards is making these certain uncommons rare, but that's besides the point. The point is, people don't open small sets as much, and that it's not because these sets are bad. It's because people don't like them.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good move. They're moving to big sets. I hope Wizards can... I mean, the fact that they're moving around planes a lot means they're not going to push themselves into a corner in terms of design. They don't have to worry about stretching out a block so much that they lose ideas. You may have 3 big sets, but they're all different.
But then at the same time, I think this also gives them a little bit of time to play with the story, because you can spend more or less time on a plane as directed by story needs. And if you want to, you can use some of that core set time to do supplementary stories like commander stories, because everyone loves those. For a supplemental product, like when Conspiracy comes back, because it will, because it has to, because I need it. Like Masters stories, or just take an extra week or 2 to end a story a little better.
Yeah.
Because honestly, with the stories coming only from this stuff, a lot of it feels rushed.
I mean, it does. I've noticed lately that they're doing a lot better with, I think it's Magic Story is the name of it now. It used to be, Uncharted Realms. They're doing a good job with the text stories. They're pushing a lot further. Just from the cards alone in Amonkhet, I didn't get the full feel of the story. I feel like they've been, I don't want to say they're stretching, because that's not what they're doing. They're pulling the story beyond what we've seen in the cards. And I like that, because by the time we get into Hour of Devastation, we don't need this catch-up in between. If you've been keeping with the story, you kind of understand what's been bridging it, and you can get to all the good, big stuff in the cards. So,
plus it's really cool to... I think they've also been working it more into the cards, though, with the story spotlight cards.
Yep.
Kind of giving you at least five quick pictures, kind of get your way through with flavor text on the cards and the picture. Like Gideon had renewed faith. Then he had the black card that he was on where, oh, wait, we actually sacrificed this guy. Or
The
call-outs
weirdest
like
part
Gate
was
to the Afterlife and stuff.
those were spoiled within like 72 hours of each other. So it was really weird seeing,
That's the
oh
problem.
man, he's so inspired. Oh god, he's fucked.
I almost feel like what they need to do, it's so tough. It sucks to like the story because you don't want the cards to spoil what's going to happen, but it's a card game, so the card should precede the story. But then it's like, oh, okay, we get it. Yeah, Hour of Devastation is going to happen. Like, if I don't really care about the details of, oh, look at that, Liliana was a jerk, but like,
it sucks, but it's like it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we left out one more of the Monday announcements.
Two, actually. But the other one's kind of short. But the other one that Morrow was super excited to talk about. Actually, this wasn't a Monday announcement. It came out with that video. Was the video
Wasn't
on
the
Monday?
video on Monday? It may have been on Tuesday. I think Monday they just did Metamorphosis, and the video came out Tuesday where they showed off.
All right, then we'll talk about that on the Tuesday block.
Yeah, we'll drag that
We're
to
removing that.
a couple
But the other
minutes from
thing
now.
Morrow did announce was he clarified more of this playtest group expansion. I forget what it's called, but there's basically a new group within Wizards to just play test for the tournament level and standard, and they're basically hiring old pros to work at it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, this is really cool. I know my favorite former professional, Melissa Totoro, who came with Black White Tokens, my favorite modern deck. She's been interning at Wizards of the Coast, and she got hired full time because they wanted this group. And I know we're not going to talk about it for the Friday announcement. Say that Paul Cheon announced that he's part of this group.
Yeah.
So they've got some people who know what they're doing
There's
in this
some
play
names.
group.
There's some real names there.
So I'm excited to see what this does for standard. I know Future League, which was the previous group they used for playtesting, was really bad at predicting stuff. I know Siege Rhino is their most famous story because there's this one card printed in M15 that was supposed to like make spirit tokens whenever you lost life. And they're like, oh shit, we got to put tramp on some big ass junk creature to deal with this. But then they got rid of the card that made the tokens and made it really shitty. But then they left Siege Rhino in.
Yeah.
And like no one caught that before release. And it was stuff like that was.
I mean, the most egregious thing recently is the frickin' and probably the thing that started this was Felidar Sahili.
Oh, I was actually going to say Reflector Mage because they didn't test it. But yeah, that's
good. That's not a combo.
No, but like they didn't think it was standard playable, so no one tested it.
That's bad too.
Yeah,
it's all bad. And now hopefully these guys will be like, look, even if they like, I still want them to print powerful cards, but I want there to be ways to work around those cards. It's a problem when you have a card that's just unbeatable.
I mean, that's the good part about this, that they can find cards where they're like, hey, this is good. If we want to keep this in standard, like, you need to make that removal spell 1 mana less because people need a way to deal with this. You can't have Emrakul floating around in a format where, you don't want to be playing sorcery speed removal. Yeah. Like, that was their big thing about Emrakul being around when vehicles were out. It was deal with one or deal with the other, but the problem is you needed to deal with both. And having a professional say, like, I can't answer half the threats in standard, that's a big alert for Wizards to go, oh shit, print naturalize in standard or something like that.
Yeah. Or the new Pithing Needle card.
Yeah.
Oh, that's I skipped to the end topic. I'm gonna
spoilers.
That I said that. So we're gonna. So that was Monday. Monday was a big day. Morrow's article really blew a lot of. It kind of shaped the future of Magic. Let's call it, just in general, not card specific, not set specific or anything like that. It just kind of said we have
this vision of where we want to go.
Another thing from this.
But there was good and bad from it. A lot of people were concerned that Wizards is making sweeping changes because of a lot of the negative stuff that's been happening with recent sets. But some people like me were excited because it means that Wizards is willing to make big changes if they think things aren't going well.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Wizards shouldn't sit there and let Magic die. If they think it's at risk and they want to do something bold, go let them do it. I want to see Magic succeed.
Yeah. But anyway, so that is Monday. Tuesday, we have a video that came out of some guy, the community manager, I guess, at Wizards, walking around the office asking people questions about...
like upcoming stuff they're doing.
Wait. Didn't the video come out Wednesday because that's when we got the news about Ixalan?
No. We're already forgetting this
We're
week. There's been too
already.
much stuff.
Oh
Let's
my
just talk
god.
about this here because Wednesday's
We'll
Ixalan Day. We'll
talk.
talk
Okay,
about that for
okay.
Wednesday.
We'll
So
talk about Ixalan on Wednesday. So on Tuesday or Wednesday, someday, the Wizards released a video of this guy going around the office asking people questions about stuff. And the two major takeaways that we're not going to talk about because we're going to say Ixalan news was on Wednesday. We're just going to say that. We had two huge announcements in the video. One, after Ixalan block, Ixalan and Rivals of Ixalan is where the new block structure starts. And the first block they are going to do,
or first set.
the first
We
set
don't
they are
block
going to
anymore.
do is Dominaria.
This
Back
is kind of
to
out of
the
left
home
field,
of
man.
Magic.
I was concerned at first. I'm like, is that just the name of the core set? Because all the core sets have been on like Dominaria. But I realized this is the first time we've had a plot-based set on that plane, not just the little peaks we get from the old core sets. And this is insane. Mostly because
this is far in advance.
I mean, Richard Garfield is coming back as a set designer for this.
Yes, not lead designer, but that's okay.
No, but like the last two sets he did were original Ravnica and Innistrad, and those are two of the best sets in Magic's history. So
he seems to really like to push the boundaries of what cards can do, and it's really, really cool that they would get him to come back for Dominaria.
it's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be weird. Not gonna lie, but it's super exciting.
Mostly because slivers are on Dominaria.
Jesus. But also, neither of us got to play when a set based on Dominaria was out, because most of early Magic is based on the plane of Dominaria.
I'm trying to remember when it was they actually moved away, but like any of the old major overarching plot lines, like I think Weatherlight is when they really started traveling around, but all those characters were established in the Dominaria
Yeah, they
sets.
were all like Gerard and all those guys were from Dominaria, and they just
Yeah.
kind of sailed around the universe in the Weatherlight.
I think Time Spiral was maybe the last time we had a plot-based arc there, but
And that
like
was
Time
all
Spiral was
timey-wimey.
Time Spiral was all over the place. They had shit from all over the multiverse going on. It was cool. But now we don't know what we're gonna get. We don't know if this is gonna be like old school Dominaria. It probably is, but we may see some of the fallout from what happened in Time Spiral. Given that we know what's gonna happen in Hour of Devastation, a lot of people think this might be the. And I don't want to fucking spoil the plot. Point is, Johnny said it in the end of Aether Revolt. Let's all meet up on Dominaria. So there's we know plot wise people are meeting up on Dominaria.
Yeah, no, we knew that, and it could easily just be a Johnny alone on Dominaria without knowing what happens to the Gatewatch.
Which we found out later this week. But
yeah,
was there anything else they said about Dominaria? Or was that it so far?
No, they kind of just said we're going to Dominaria and Richard Garfield's on it.
Yeah, no, that's enough to hype us.
Get hype. The other cool thing was the funny gag at the end of the video. Of course, the funny gag being what it was. Morrow could not contain his excitement and announced Unstable, the third unset to ever be released.
I can't believe this set is happening.
And it is coming out in like November or something. And Morrow announced on his Tumblr that he has been doing design before even he had approval since 2011, which is older than his blog on Tumblr. So he has been answering questions since day one saying, tell people at Wizards we want this, when in fact he was already working on it.
The best part is he's been answering for the last couple years. Every time someone asks, is Unset 3 happening? And he always goes, it's not is it, it's when. And he's been sitting there for 6 years now knowing that, this set's coming out because I'm sitting on the design file. Yeah, man.
Like, that's crazy.
He fluzzed up the truth a little bit in his blog, but man, he was dangling it in front of us this entire time.
Yeah, it's nuts. And the set symbol came out today, and it's a wrench with a nut with like an acorn cut out in the handle. So clearly he announced we're getting squirrels.
People are theorizing that the riggers and contraptions are going to be in this set because of the wrench.
Contraptions. But
people are going deep on it. Someone posted a theory that the color purple, which has been the long reported sixth color of Magic that never happened, someone thinks it's going to happen in the set because Morrow's wearing all purple during the announcement video.
Oh my god.
Which is bullshit. It's not happening. But honestly, I could totally see like a card with a purple mana symbol being printed that you just can't play to be trolly.
What if it's just a purple color and there's no actual symbol in it? Oh man, there's so many layers. Honestly, the unsets are there's honestly problems with them because they don't factor into any other environment. But now that Wizards has this supplemental product window, the fact that Wizards has been getting to this point where they're throwing more products out there to kind of supplement these 3 sets, because they're like, as much as people aren't earning a lot more money, people want more options to help. The more options we have, the more we keep people in the game, at least. So the fact that we can have these cool things going on the side is where you can find space for this unset, which is really cool, because now you don't have to worry about, oh, we're missing out on 6 months of new standard cards because of this stupid joke thing. And now it's like, no, if you don't want to go play standard, just go draft and throw shredded paper at people and
all the dumb stuff that comes with an undraft.
Yeah.
I remember last year a lot of people were complaining about set fatigue, that there was too much stuff coming out, because last year we had Modern Masters 2,
totally
Eternal
true.
Masters, we had Conspiracy,
we had
Commander
Eternal
was really
Master,
dope.
We had Eternal Master spoilers start a week after Conspiracy 2 came out.
It was insane. There was just too much stuff.
No. That was Eldritch Moon.
Oh yeah, it was Eldritch Moon was during Conspiracy, like the week everyone's playing it, there's already spoilers out. Like, there was too much going on. And what I like about the unsets is that, not everyone is going to play this set. Like, it is clearly for fun. It's for people who like this parody game of Magic. It's not like, I remember Eternal Masters. I don't personally play Legacy or Vintage, but all right, this is a bad example because I play Commander. But it was every time one of these sets came out, like, I had to care, because these cards are all important to me. Knowing what's going up in value, what's getting reprinted, with Standard, what new cards are coming out. But with Unstable, it doesn't matter so much that it's drawing all my focus. It's more of this like for fun hobby thing, like Magic is supposed to actually be, as opposed to the lifestyle it's become for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, and I like that they're willing to have this just for fun set that doesn't like demand your attention.
Yeah,
and I think it's good that they put it in when they did.
I think trying to stagger things so you even have one product a month is technically doable. But I think about a month and a half for major product release is a good call.
They got to space out so I have at least 2 weeks to enjoy the product before I have to start worrying about new cards. Like, that's what I'd prefer. Like, give me a couple weeks to play with it. And that includes not talking
about spoilers.
Yeah.
But again, we'll talk about that at the end of the show.
It's coming out real soon.
So yeah, that's that. And Tuesday we already talked. This is the one thing we talked about on the main podcast this week.
Yeah, we went into this too for a little bit.
We
didn't
want to talk about again here. The banned and restricted announcement. Aetherworks Marvel banned in Standard. Another Standard banning, which is just crazy.
This is insane. We have not. I think it's like maybe 7 or 8 total, and the last 3 were from this last year of Standard.
Yeah, it's fairly nuts.
It's.
But we already kind of discussed this, like I said on the podcast. But this card was warping Standard, and the wording on it was probably bad. Yeah.
And it was even weird when we say warping, we don't mean in terms of the competitive sense. We mentioned the fact that, at the competitive level, 43% of decks that were day 2ing tournaments were Aetherworks Marvel decks. But at the FNM level, it wasn't that oppressive. On MTGO, it wasn't that oppressive. But the issue was it wasn't enjoyable to play against. And that was
unless you were so insular in your meta, you had to have cards for it.
Yeah.
And they were almost dead to everything else.
Like, I remember playing a Standard where it was a 3-deck format, and even then, I didn't play the deck going, well, how do I, like, if you can't beat Control, you can't win. Like, there were some weeks where I went to a store where everyone played Control, and that mattered to me, but generally speaking, there wasn't one card in the format where it's like, well, if I can't answer that one card, I lose the game.
Yeah.
I've never had that situation, and that's what it was for Marvel. If you couldn't answer Marvel,
was, I need
would lose the game.
Speed answer, or I'm probably going to get Ulam. There's a 9% chance I'll just get Ulamogged, and the game's over.
Yeah.
On turn 4 or 3 if you played a Servant of the Conduit and an.
I want to say it was like turn 6. It was something up to like 70% chance,
jeez,
or something. Like it had inevitability. So,
and against zombies, it was also starting to play Chandra Flamecaller. Turn 4, Chandra -3 keeps her alive and wipes your board of zombies. Man.
Yeah, and zombies is like, I don't want to say Wizards is pushing it, but like zombies is a cool deck given the block we're in.
But zombies is also a tribe
that
hasn't been able to make it. Like,
yeah,
zombies has been such a cool tribe for so long, and it's like
it's kind of been underpowered.
The thing about zombies is they've almost never had cards that just throw into a deck because they're good. Like a dragon, an angel, some thing is
Oh,
always
it's
gonna.
you always have to be playing zombies for them to be good.
Yeah, and so that deck never happened. So there was never a chance for zombies to see play, like any of them, because they almost always work better together. Whereas like Glorybringer, you could throw that in any red deck. That's a dragon.
Yeah.
Like some angel, like Avacyn, Archangel Avacyn, Flash in. It was everywhere. But
Yeah.
like they never had that for zombies. Except for Dredge, but that doesn't count because
That's
Prized
just 'cause
Amalgam
Prized Amalgam's an oddball card that's
Prized
really
Amalgam
good.
doesn't matter that it's a zombie in any way, shape, or form. It's just that it's a broken card that you can play for free from a graveyard, so Dredge cares.
Yeah.
I know at least Legacy and Modern Dredge care. I don't think Vintage Dredge cares that much because they have even better cards.
They have better stuff to be playing.
But the other reason I wanted to bring up the ban and restricted announcement, so I think we can agree that it's a good announcement. We can say that because we don't play
bad,
Standard.
I'll say that much.
We
It wasn't bad for them to do this. It's just,
Yeah.
it's weird because of the conditions under which they banned it.
Yeah. I mean, this card has only seen this is the second set released since that card came out, and that's pretty quick.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw it got banned, I was like not even remotely surprised. Like, I don't know if I've just gotten too used to it being standard bannings, but it was like, well, that makes sense that they would ban it. Like, it wasn't an unheard of change.
Copter was banned faster.
It was. Copter was like, it was halfway through its sets.
Copter was not even Aether Revolt wasn't even out when Copter.
It
got
wasn't.
Banned already.
This was the emergency ban. Yeah.
But it is worth noting, no changes to other formats. I haven't been following Modern really, but I've been following Commander, Legacy, and Vintage because I watch Dr. Rich Shea, the Atog Lord. Almost every time he streams, I end up watching the whole video, even if it takes me a few days because it's like 5 hours of just streaming those formats. But I think, irregardless of how, I actually don't think the banning of Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise really hurt Baral that much, but Baral has been getting taken down because people are finding other combo-y things to do. Like a Sidisi deck took down the Commander League one weekend or something, or like 1 month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a Sidisi deck where you just all it is a tutor every other turn.
It's a tutor,
Yeah, but that deck won. I think people are finding answers and finding. Obviously, Baral still played a lot, but things like the deck he plays a lot that I think is busted is Vile Smasher Crown.
Vile Smash is just a good commander.
Vile Smasher is busted in
commander.
1v1. In 1v1, it's busted. In multiplayer, Vile Smasher automatically loses a lot of power. But in 1v1, like I'm watching the video he did from 5 days ago. He at least once, I think he actually did it twice in the video. He's doing the Commander Challenge this past weekend, and he killed someone with Vile Smasher on the field, and they played a spell, and he had Logic Knot in his hand, and he just delved his entire graveyard away and shot them for 15 damage off the X cost.
Oh my God.
And they were just done. And it's like, well, okay, you have Stifle or one other card he mentioned that counters the trigger, or you're just dead. Because I don't care if you counter my Logic Knot, the spell happened. Vile Smasher says there's 15 damage on the stack. Counter the trigger or you lose.
I forget who was. I think it was the guys from the Command Zone who said like a card that's designed for single player is 3 times worse in multiplayer. This is the opposite. A card that's designed to be okay in multiplayer is 3 times better in single player.
That's already happened before with Commander stuff because True Name
Nemesis.
Nemesis.
Like True Name Nemesis. Yeah, they've sort of learned their lesson, but this one was harder to because protection from player is insane, but dealing damage on spellcast, it's not as easy to see that being busted. And I understand why Wizards didn't account for 1v1 with this guy.
Well, plus they didn't have 1v1 leagues at the time.
Yeah, they don't build around it. It was 100% designed for multiplayer.
And it came out in a Commander multiplayer product.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I'll
I
chime
think
in with some modern stuff real quick if you want.
No, go ahead. Yeah, chime in with modern.
So modern's honestly pretty healthy right now. The only boogeyman of the format is Death Shadow, which it's growing in meta share, but people know the answers. Like if you're playing white, you have Path, you have what's that card? Condemn.
Condemn. Yep.
Condemn is great. People are trying to play random life gain cards to make people's Death Shadow die. Point is, it's not terrible right now. It's pretty good. There's a little more interaction in the format, but everyone talks every week like, is Death Shadow too good? Doesn't need to get banned.
Nope.
At the moment, no. It's not too much of an issue. People can deal with it. It's just a big fat creature.
Side note, it was just printed in the Modern Masters set for this year, so probably not a desired ban right away.
It was, but Splinter Twin also happened a little while ago, and they had just printed that previously.
But look, it's twin. There's still people who on the Reddit are like, "Oh, it's unbanned twin. That'll be fine."
It's honestly not terrible. I see more people calling for Tron bans than I see for Death Shadow bans right now. And as a black white tokens player, I hate Tron, but I really don't think it should
Keep
get
talking
banned.
for a second. My phone's at 2%. I gotta plug it in.
All right, you came to me right when I was done talking about Modern, but honestly, it's a-okay. If Modern doesn't see a ban in the next year, I wouldn't be mad. I don't personally like playing against Death Shadow, but it's not a busted
back
deck
already.
Yeah, all right, that's all I have to say about Modern.
Yeah. But yeah, so and Legacy is still chugging along. Miracles is coming back because without top, the deck is still good enough. Shocker.
Yeah, right.
Surprising. Well, a lot of people probably, but honestly, it seems like it's fine. I don't think it's a big problem. And Vintage is, dare I say,
Vintage is whatever it's doing.
Vintage is not big enough to matter. I don't know. Gush and Cataxian Probe are great restrictions. I think the format is definitely still settling.
It's less of a one deck format now, which is way better, but I
mean, Mentor's still good. People, I think it seems like Paradoxical Storm is actually.
I don't know what that is. Hold on.
What? Freeman, I got to show you some of Dr. Shea's streams then. Like, we'll watch them after this because he literally streams mostly that deck in Vintage. It's you play all your Moxen and everything, play Paradoxical Outcome, draw 5 cards, get them all back, play them again for free, and then Tendrils.
Oh, it's just Storm. Okay.
It's Storm, but it's
all right. It's Vintage
cool
Storm.
bounce Storm.
Okay.
It's a more the thing it adds is before for Storm you had to just play like rituals and stuff to get the mana, but you basically had to rely on like things like Yawgmoth's Will for good card draw. I think this is just a guess.
This kind of reminds me of the second Sunrise Eggs deck that people were playing before that all got banned.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Wow.
The card Second Sunrise, like return all permanents that left the battlefield this turn or something, and you would play a bunch of cards like Chromatic Sphere, like ones where you sack it to draw a card, get mana, and you just return them to the battlefield, and you just have so much crazy value off it that you would go off. And I don't remember if it won off Storm. It was just too good. Point is, that's why Second Sunrise is banned in Modern.
Well, his deck has Paradoxical Outcome as a win condition, but also tutors to find usually Ancestral Vision, honestly. Yeah, because Recall's the modern one. But he also has Tinker Blightsteel in the deck, and he can kind of shift things around.
I'll just do that
so
whenever.
It's kind of like 2 attacks, because you're also playing all these free artifacts. Oh, I have a Tinker in my hand. Here's a turn 1 Blightsteel. Yep. You have swords in your hands or you're dying. Whoops. Sorry.
Simple as that.
But then Shops is still good because of like the Foundry Inspector from Kaladesh and Ravager, like the car. The fact that Kaladesh cards affected Vintage like that is just so
that's
makes me
insane.
So happy. I love it. Freaking love Kaladesh, man. Oh, I don't know if you heard Val at D&D last night. She said for our move when she bought that Venser book when she was drunk last weekend in Ohio.
Oh, she mentioned she got the art book, right?
She bought the art book for Innistrad and Kaladesh. So I'm kind of excited for that. Even
it's like if the two of you were books, that's what they.
That's
would
what
be.
she said. It's his and her books. It's his and her books for our end table. Anyway, let's go to Ixalan on Wednesday.
So it was Tuesday or Wednesday. The point is, we're into Ixalan.
Whenever this video came out,
we got our first announcement of what Ixalan really is. Because prior to this, all we knew is that it was based on like Mesopotamian, Aztec kind of themes.
Describe the first picture. That tells you everything you need to know.
Memory. Oh my God! It was like Vraska
three things.
It's Vraska on a pirate ship with these like merfolk pirates, but then in the background you've got these dinosaurs.
3 minutes. Vraska, pirates, dinosaurs, and you can add with feathers.
Those are the 3 things you got to know. It's Vraska pirates versus dinosaurs. They went there. It's happening.
It's super cool looking. I gotta say, having loved Kaladesh, seeing like the colorful dinosaurs, that excites me, man. Cool. I like the colorful artwork.
That's
like
the
it
thing
when
about
the color
Magic.
pops.
50% of your card is mechanics, but the 50% of it is art. And having a cool theme like these colorful dinosaurs, they look good on cards. Yeah. I love looking at Birds of Paradise. It's a beautiful card, and you know, beautiful cards.
It's exciting. It's just that one picture was enough to get everyone hyped. And then they put out the photo of like the day later for Rivals of Ixalan, which is the next set, which is just another Mesopotamia person with a dinosaur, except it has armor and looks like you can ride it.
What I was interested about that they confirmed the name Rivals of Ixalan is that, you know, this kind of bleeds into the least we'll talk to a little bit. There were a lot of theories floating around that Ixalan was going to be a set that was more heavily focused on factions. Like you saw that a little bit in Khans of Tarkir, but that was split more by like just you are this 3-color combo.
Yeah.
But if you go back as far, like, you know, Return to Ravnica as the guilds with Innistrad, that was the last time we had these factions that weren't like explicitly named. It was like you had humans, you had vampires, you had werewolves, and each of them had their own thing they were doing. This is very visible in the cards. And there was this express, I don't call it rivalry. There were explicit enemies. Humans were the underdogs in that set. Everyone was out to get them. But vampires were also on their own. Like it wasn't humans versus everyone. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing, and that's might be what we've seen with Ixalan, because we've already seen pirates, we've seen dinosaurs. There were hints of
really
merfolk.
seen pirates.
We haven't really seen pirates,
and we only saw dinosaurs in super old sets.
And then they all got retconned into lizards.
Not anymore.
Oh yeah, they're gonna undo that. That's gonna be really cool.
They're gonna have actual dinosaur cards, like the old the set. The cards in Ixalan are dinosaurs. It is official.
Like creature type dinosaur, which they confirmed. I think it got added to Gatherer last week, and everyone was panicking. But nice. I'm also really excited for Vraska because she appeared in Return to Ravnica.
Yep.
The block, not the set, or was it the set? Anyway, point is she had very little to do with the plot because Return to Ravnica was all over the place. This plot, but I'm excited to see that they're bringing back another character and doing something with them. Wizards addressed that we're getting too much exposure to the Gatewatch.
Oh yeah.
And Ixalan is the first time they've had a real way to address the fact that we were getting too many Gatewatch characters everywhere. So the fact that the title character is not one of them is really cool, at least from the promo art.
And the fact that too many Planeswalker cards are Gatewatch members.
Yeah.
Literally in Amonkhet, every Planeswalker card was a Gatewatch member who already had a card in Standard. Now with old rotation, Gideon and Nissa wouldn't have?
No, Nissa had a printing in Kaladesh.
Right, I forgot.
Yeah,
My God. Almost every block with this one. Jeez.
Yeah, right?
But Gideon would not have. But
that's correct.
It's because of the rotation. Him and Ulamog, the only cards that matter from that whole thing. But anyway, Ixalan looks really cool. And it was really awesome to get information about it. And it's also cool because we've known a little bit about it for a while, because apparently when Conspiracy 2 was being designed, they kind of ripped the Monarch mechanic from Ixalan. Yeah.
It was originally scheduled for Ixalan, and then they thought it'd be way better for a multiplayer-focused format.
And vehicles, you said, I think, the other day, were originally from Ixalan?
No, this is something.
Or something.
Someone had the idea that they were, or someone even said that there might be vehicles in Ixalan because you might have stuff like boats.
Freeman.
What?
I'm going to stop you right there. We have to talk about this in the last part because you might not have looked at that picture closely.
No, I didn't look at that picture closely. This may be why I heard it. But point is, what I was going to say was when Mirrodin came out, that was the first set with equipment. And as we all know, equipment didn't stick around in Mirrodin. People liked equipment. It stuck around because it was these more expensive auras that gave you more bang for your buck in terms of sticking around. I can totally see vehicles, if they've kind of figured out what does and what doesn't work for vehicles. I could still totally see it becoming evergreen enough that
we're going to talk about this later, I promise.
Like I'm trying to ignore it because I know blatantly what you're referencing.
Freeman, don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later.
You look at some sets like what was it? We were doing this chaos seal the other week, and I was drafting a Lara set, and there's just one card that kept showing up, Bonesaw. This is a shitty ass equipment that's meant for limited, but I could totally see Wizards doing that with vehicles.
Sramos. It's not jank.
That's not too bad, but yeah, I can totally see them doing vehicles as this equipment replacement. Wizards has addressed the fact that they don't want to make good equipment again. They think it's a little too strong, and they haven't gotten to the point where they think vehicles themselves are too strong. They understand there are certain design philosophies around vehicles. You have vehicles around. Not everything can be sorcery speed removal. That is an advantage. If you want to have a great, if you want to put the 4-mana board wipe in Standard, yeah, you can have vehicles around, but you can't have no instant speed interaction.
It is also cool because like they've had. I think I mentioned this on the podcast or something, or we were talking, but they have had things like chariots before, and those are a lot cooler when you think about a creature needing to get into them.
Yeah, as opposed to just being equipped to a chariot.
Yeah. But I hope they keep equipment around because it is so useful and interesting. I like having more options, not less.
Yeah.
But that's Ixalan, because we'll talk about it more later, like I said. Thursday we can basically skip because there was apparently some pro play changes. Honestly,
Some shit about like group play at the Pro Tour where it's like 3 different formats. I don't know. It's interesting if
That's
you like
cool.
watching stuff online.
No, that's cool because Star City Games started some of their Star City Games Invitationals or whatever, where they were the team one. We talked about this. I remember when they started because it was Standard, Modern, and Legacy. 3 players would make a team, and one of them would each run these decks, and they'd all face off at the same time against another team, and that is super cool.
It is
because that means Legacy's getting played.
I'm glad it's just not all 3 different standards, and they're all just playing the same standard deck.
Yeah. But I think people wrote to Wizards and mentioned and said they wanted that, and then Wizards was like, okay, we'll take a look, and apparently they found out that there's enough there that they're willing to try the team thing.
That's exciting. Some big
More
changes
exposure for
here.
other formats is never bad, as much as
I know,
Wizards
right?
pushes.
I think Wizards realized they're shoving standard in our faces, and they're not proud of standard right now.
Yeah.
So I think they might be trying to pull some of the attention away until they can implement their changes they think will improve standard. And then once it's big and great again, they can put it right in center stage. Like
but
they
I think they also
doing.
recognize that not everyone wants standard.
That's the thing, though. They have to advertise standard. It's their moneymaker.
Or they find a way, like the Eternal Masters sets.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Generate interest.
To generate interest in other things and generate money.
Yep.
Oh, we also ignored the announcement of another Masters set less than 12 months after Iconic Masters comes out this year. We have the 25th Anniversary Masters, whatever that's going to be.
Wait, hold on. I didn't hear about it. They announced Masters 25?
Oh, yeah.
I thought... I saw 25. I thought it had to do with the From the Vault, but now I realize the From the Vault is like...
From the Vault.
Oh, by the way, From the Vault got announced too. It's From the Vault flip cards.
Which, oh my god,
or, sorry,
I wanted to talk about
cards.
this. That is the stupidest thing ever.
There's not enough cards to do it From the Vault.
None are
yet.
good enough.
It's going to be Delver and Jace and a bunch of other things that don't matter. Huntmaster. Maybe Flip Nissa, because I really like that card.
Have fun, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know what else they're going to do.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're
right.
going to do the meld creatures.
It's going to be the Origins Walkers. Oh,
it's like Best of Standard, foil reprints. Like,
it's going to be... So that's 5. Let's see if we can find 10 more. Delver.
That's 6.
So
Huntmaster 7.
6. Huntmaster 7.
Both the Meld Angels from...
really?
Why wouldn't they?
That's
what?
New.
Yeah, but what else are they going to put in there?
So you're saying,
are they going to put stuff from Shadows of
But it's called
block?
It's From the Vault Transform, not From the Vault Flip.
But that's only 2 sets then. Or sorry.
Well, no.
4 sets?
Archangel Avacyn. That's
You're
8. Right. If we still need more blue cards, Ludwig's Abomination.
Chalice of Life and Death are in there.
Chalice could be.
That's like
that's 10.
Card played in Commander
10
for decks like mine and
Yeah,
Bell's.
it does.
That's 10 cards. That's it.
It's stupid. I thought it was stupid. I still think it's stupid. No reason to do it from the vault of this. Also, we have a dual deck Goblins versus Merfolk. That's actually sick.
I'm excited. I really hope they finally reprint Curse Catcher, because that card is way too expensive for a common.
Yep. I was gonna say, finally getting some potentially new reprints of cool old cards.
Hell yeah!
I think that's actually a fantastic idea, especially for like a 25th anniversary cool thing.
I think there are also, this may be, and we talked about this week on the podcast about chasing the dragon. Or I think this might be Wizards' little way between, promoting Legacy, going back to Dominaria, having a dual deck that's about these like creature types that have been here since the beginning of Magic. I don't want to say they're pandering to old school Magic fans, but I think they are trying to say like, hey, we don't just design for new players in Standard. Like, we want all Magic players to have something to be excited about.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that.
Okay, so Freeman, I just Googled upcoming Magic sets, and it took me to Wizards' upcoming sets page, coming soon page. Hour of Devastation, July. Commander, 2017, August. Ixalan, September. So we have nothing in... Oh, wow. No, every month. July, August, September.
There was another
Merfolk
spoiler
versus
since we started
Okay,
this
then we have
podcast.
nothing till November announced.
Yeah.
Merfolk vs. Goblins, Iconic Masters, and Explorers of Ixalan, and From the Vault Transform are all coming. Explorers of Ixalan is supposedly some new supplemental thing. There's no real word on what the heck it is.
I was confused with that. I thought the second set was called Explorers and the first one was Rivals, but
No,
then
Rivals
apparently it was
is the
Rivals
second
is the second
set.
set. Yeah.
Explorers is some spin-off thing. And no one really knows what it's kind of like another game mode or something, apparently. I don't really know.
It may have been where they had. It might be like some
Probably where
multiplayer thing where they had
was
put Monarch
was
in.
ripped out of, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Unstable in December. January is Rivals. Masters 25 is March. April is Dominaria, and July is Core 2019.
I feel like it's just Eternal Masters 2.
Iconic Masters is literally 4 months before that.
Like, what could it be?
What else is there? Actually, Masters 25, I think Morrow said there are cards from every set.
It's happening. The dual lands are getting off the reserve list. Prediction, you heard it here first.
No, it's not going to happen. Anyway,
It's not happening.
Anyway. God, we still have so much to talk about. We're going for almost an hour.
We weren't lying.
Should we go on to Friday? Today?
Well, actually, no, hold on. Didn't Thursday? Oh, no, we're saving it. Yeah, let's go to Friday, which is today.
So what happened today?
Today was the first time we haven't been leaked, but got to see new cards.
Today was the first day Hour of Devastation cards were officially revealed in some capacity, and we have a lot of cards, actually.
So just to preface this, we've already discussed on previous podcasts. We saw the week that Nico Bolas and Bantu's Reckoning, the 3-mana board wipe, got
and Samut
revealed.
and see how you purged her from your mind.
Well, I keep forgetting because it's not a card I want to remember.
Exactly.
And then this week we saw there were 4 cards. There were 2 that are game day promos and 2 other creatures that we talked about who each have, pretty unique
Yes, I think
abilities.
we mentioned them really quickly on the podcast earlier this week.
Yeah, we talked about the Crucible Worlds creature, and then like the preview for Afflict, which for anyone who doesn't know, Afflict is if a creature is blocked, it deals whatever its Afflict number
damage to the player,
to the defending player. It's pretty cool. Slivers had a mechanical like that didn't involve blocking. I love that mechanic. I jam in EDH. But today we got a bunch of new cards,
and we found out what the mechanic on the promo that had no text explaining its mechanic was.
Adorned Pouncer, the Eternalize mechanic.
So let's just rattle off some of the cool cards, because a lot of these cards are just kind of there. They're not bad, but let's talk about... So there's a cycle of 5 cards. There is a defeat card for every single Planeswalker.
Oh, this one was good to hear about.
They are all sideboard tech cards / unplayable in standard.
They're all color hate for the color the cards are. It's like the green card hates out these green permanents.
So every single card references somehow in color. For 3 of them are 1 mana. The blue one is 1 and a blue, and the green one is 2 and a green. Each one of these cards somehow in color removes whatever creature or thing is tied to one of the 5 Gatewatch members. And if you're doing it, all of them can target the Planeswalker of the in some way. Like the Gideon one can exile a creature that's attacking or blocking. And if it's a Gideon Planeswalker, you get a bonus. The Jace one is counter a blue spell. If it was a Jace, you get a bonus. Liliana is destroy a black creature or black Planeswalker. If it was Liliana, bad things happen to your opponent.
Was it bad things? Was a draw card? I forget. The point is, it's there's a payoff to
there is payoff,
doing the flavorful thing and targeting
exactly.
those Planeswalkers.
There is extra payoff if you do the flavorful. If you literally defeat the walker that is described on the card, you get a bonus. Otherwise, you in some way remove a permanent of the same color as the card you are casting. So the red one from Chandra gets rid of red things, green for green, blood, whatever, so on and so forth. And they play into the primary method of that color for getting rid of something. And they are not the story spotlight cards, and we now know that every member of everyone predicted, the Gatewatch gets their asses handed to them by Nicol Bolas, which makes sense because he's
the darkest timeline has arrived.
But there are plenty of other cool cards. So those cards were spoiled mostly yesterday, Chandra's defeat was, I think, spoiled this morning.
A lot of these were foreign language. I know last night when we met up to hang out, Chandra was the only one that hadn't been revealed yet.
Yeah, Nissa and Liliana were in other languages. Jace and Gideon were out, and then this morning Chandra came out also in another language.
Yep, I think Jace was the first one we saw yesterday.
Yep, Jace was the first one we saw because I showed it while we were playing D&D. But there are some other cool cards.
There are some overarching themes in some of the cards we've seen. So the first one is... Yeah, oh shit, that's why they're... So I was going to talk about the cycling lands. I was very upset when I saw them. So I'm like, oh man, it's 2 mana in color to cycle these. Why would I ever play them? I didn't see the desert type land on these. So they printed monocolored tap lands that have cycle for generic and whatever color they normally tap for.
Can I point out that we have the red and the green one right now? It looks like they are the temple cards, the monument cards.
Yeah.
And it says that they are a desert now.
So they've clearly been ruined by the devastation.
Yeah, so these are deserts that have Desert of the Blank, which is the name of whatever god with the color, because they all had a name. Or like I am this of this, like Hazaret the Fervent. It's called Desert of the Fervent.
Yeah.
It's a land desert, enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for 1 of red, for a red, or you can cycle it for 1 and a red. So technically the worst of the cycling lands to come out so far, because we've had 1 of one color and 2 of anything for cycle of every color. But so this is technically more cost restrictive, but they are deserts. Which
there is a payoff, because this set has a sub theme of creatures getting bonuses if you either control a desert or have a desert in your graveyard. Which plays into the cycling.
Yeah, exactly. So if you cycle a desert, now you still get a bonus because the desert's in your graveyard.
God, this all started to make more sense now that I realized the cycling lands are desert.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even think. I noticed it immediately.
I couldn't figure out what the payoff was. I'm like, I guess you have deserts. Why are they blowing up? But now it makes way more sense. Now I actually read the card.
Honestly, everything else isn't too interesting except for one card. Story Spotlight card number 1. The Hour of Revelation.
Revelation. Oh boy.
AKA brand new EDH staple.
So anyone who's playing with any of my decks knows that I always play the card Merciless Eviction, which is 6 mana, and you pick a type, either artifact, enchantment, or creature, destroy all permanents of that type. And
there's a 4th type, Planeswalker.
You choose Planeswalker on it. Yeah, never do that. But point is, I can't count how many times that has won me a game because I can just deal with indestructible permanents. Tim, you are famous for playing Darksteel Forge, and this is my only out to that card.
Famous for. It's in my Brea deck.
And so, do you want to describe Hour of Revelation?
Sure. So this card is... So last fall, real quick, Sublime Exhalation came out and was an expensive board wipe for creatures that had a cheaper way to do it if you had a lot of opponents. There's also Planar Cleansing all the way back from M14. Since then, there hasn't been a thing that really destroyed everything. Like everything.
Was Planar Cleansing Destroy or Exile?
Destroy all non-land permanents.
And that was what, 9 mana or something? Or
6.
6. Oh, well, that's way better than I thought.
We finally get Hour of Revelation. And it looks like the delay for Planar Cleansing reprint has been good because Hour of Revelation is straight better than Planar Cleansing.
Strict upgrade.
Instead of Destroy All Non-Land Permanents being the only text on the card, it has the same cost as Planar Cleansing. It has 3 white, white, white. Destroy all non-land permanents, but the first line of text says, Hour of Revelation costs 3 mana, 3 generic less to cast if there are 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield. Also known as Going Wide Sucks, and in Commander, this is a 3 mana board wipe.
It's so easy to play this for 3 mana in EDH. Holy shit. I love this card.
This card is you can't every white commander deck. You don't need Wrath of God anymore. Unless the only reason you run other Wraths before this now is because you want to wipe the board of just creatures. If this is the reset button.
This is the hard reset. This is you deal with the enchantment deck. You deal with the artifact deck. This is I don't give a shit what anyone's playing.
I can't
start over because I can't deal with this.
I wouldn't run this into Pala or Brea because they want to have artifacts do fun things while creatures die. I don't care about those. Trying to think of what else.
It's tough
Narset
because
doesn't want this because I want my planeswalkers around, so I still want creature wipes.
it's really rough because you put this as like this is the hard emergency button. This is
Yep.
I don't care about what I have on the board. I can't deal with anyone else. I've got to
Well,
get rid
this
of
is also
everything.
the I'm so far behind. Well, this is also I'm so far behind, or other people are so far behind, and they're willing to say, "Yeah, do this." Like the fact that this is like almost no win condition in Commander doesn't fulfill the 10 permanents with everything else happening in a game of Commander. I was
Yeah.
talking to Leslie about this earlier when I saw this card because she was over still, and I pointed out in a game of Commander you can hit this by turn 3.
Usually.
Reasonably on curve against certain Commander decks, you could cast this as soon as you have 3 white mana.
Yeah, it's really not that hard to
That's
get to that reduced
mind-boggling.
cost decision. But even in Commander, 6 mana is not that
Nope.
much to pay for this kind of effect. I load up on rats. I regularly cast Merciless Eviction in our multiplayer
Every deck
games.
that was running Planar Cleansing now runs this instead and can also run Planar Cleansing
Planar
if they
Cleansing.
want.
It's the second one that does more. This is a cool card. This is a great card.
This is the only really, really cool card that was officially spoiled today. The other cool cards, there's 2 other cool cards. I misspoke before because I missed this one on Mythic Spoiler. We do know that they showed off one today, which I actually think is pretty cool. Grind to Dust. For 1
All right, this
black, put a -1/-1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, which is good. You can kill something that's some weak things or just weaken some stuff. But Aftermath for Dust, exile any number of target creatures that have -1/-1 counters on them.
So for this ends up being a 6 mana exile 2 creatures, which
Yes.
is okay. But the thing that's good about this is your payoff for playing with all these -1/-1 counter cards that are in standard right now.
Archfiend of Ifnir.
Because
with
your
this
first
in your
one,
graveyard.
your first one make things smaller, but then for 4 mana, it's exile at least 2 creatures your opponents control.
Yeah. If you have an Archfiend of Ifnir on the field and you cycle a card, that's 6 mana. If this is in your graveyard and you cycle something or discard something even, this is usually 6 mana for that cycle plus Dust. You've wiped your opponent's board. You've exiled your opponent's board. Now, you know what sucks? You know what is a huge sucky thing about this card?
Oh, they're all sorceries.
No. White. Dust
Oh,
is white, and no white commander -1/-1 counter deck exists.
What's even worse is the next. All right, I personally like the next card we're going to talk about that got spoiled like right before we started recording. The Scorpion God isn't in white, and he's the new -1/-1 counter commander.
Yep. Or Hapatra. She's also -1/-1.
That is
She
right.
also still doesn't have it. Green and black and red are still the 3 best color combos. You can't even cross over.
God damn it,
But
Wizards!
you definitely can't play white.
Unplayable in EDH.
It is.
God damn it!
It actually is.
I got real excited, and then I realized.
Seriously, the fact that Dust is white hurts it immeasurably in Commander. And I think, honestly, makes it almost unplayable everywhere.
The thing is, I'm imagining if you switch that from exile to destroy, Dust could have been a black spell.
Yeah,
But the thing is, they wouldn't do a black aftermath card like that.
It's also an answer to a god card.
Oh, this is, yeah.
Yeah, Dust is an answer to god cards, which is important because we have 5 indestructible creatures plus Gideon stuff in standard right now.
You are 100% correct. The problem is it's sorcery speed. Gideon's rarely ever.
I know. I even as I said that, I know, but you know what I mean. There's
it potentially can. Especially if they like activate him to block. You're like, joke's on you. 6 mana. Deal with your Gideon you activated and your Heart of Kirin that you also activated.
It's just, I don't know. What commander has white in it that's going to be a -1/-1 commander?
I don't know. You might just do like an off-color thing, like just have -1/-1, but then to be like, oh, Queen Marchesa is my commander for card draw.
Is it worth it? But then
no,
you're entering
but
the
someone's
argument,
going to do it.
But then you're entering the argument of, is one really good card worth an entire color?
I mean, I don't know what other interactions are with white and -1/-1 counters, but I always
There's
love the
probably
black-white
none.
removal suite for decks. You can find a way to make Mardu control work and just slap someone on as the commander. It could happen.
Why just for dust?
It's not just for dust.
Yes, it is.
I would not build a deck just to use this, but fine. You know,
Go ahead
I
and
can
talk
see it.
about
I can
your
see it.
Scorpion, man.
I'm not building. I'm not building Mardu -1/-1.
Go ahead and talk about the rock.
So onto the good
I've seen
stuff.
photoshops already.
Dude, this is great. So they started spoiling the 3 new gods who are going to be in Hour of Devastation.
They showed off
this
artwork
one,
for a god that looks like a locust god, which is cool.
Yeah,
but
this was the only one we've seen. This one we've seen the least amount of artwork for so far. Its name is the Scorpion God. That's right, no other title, just the Scorpion God, legendary creature god. He's black, red, and 3 for a 6/5. And before I describe his effect, this is unlike previous god cards where they don't act as a creature until you meet a condition. This is always a creature. But also, he's not indestructible. So I'll read his effect. Whenever a creature with a -1/-1 counter on it dies, draw a card. And he has the activated ability for red, black, and 1. Put a -1/-1 counter on another target creature. And his last ability is when the Scorpion God dies, return it to his owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step.
Fantastic.
So his last ability,
pseudo-indestructible.
It's sort of indestructible, but it plays into the idea of, I don't know, these like undying gods. These almost like zombie gods is what it looks like from the artwork. That they're not indestructible, but they're still there. They're godly.
What it seems like is Nicol Bolas killed 3 of the 8 gods and has now resurrected them.
Yep.
To basically help him devastate Amonkhet.
During that 1 hour, yeah.
During that hour of devastation.
But this guy, he is your -1/-1 counter maker. He takes advantage of your own creatures dying. For 3 mana, you just draw a card on anything dying.
So if you want to run in Commander, if you want to run Hapatra, you run Hapatra, or if you want red, you run this. That's the answer. Those are the cards you run. I don't think there's... Let's see. EDH Rec has all the answers you could ever need.
What are the Mardu partners? Let's see how bad we can make this.
Wait, Mardu partners?
Are there any partners we can put together to make a Mardu shell?
Oh
nah,
my
fuck
God.
it. I'm not gonna force.
No. Let's see. Mardu. partners. So the only partner commanders that can fit into this in the first week: Akiri, no; Timna, no; Ravos, no; Bruce, no. Everything is a combination of those 4.
Yeah, fuck it. I'm not building this color combo.
None of those work. In Rakdos, there is nothing that I can see that fits -1/-1 counters.
Except the Scorpion God.
Well, I'm saying Scorpion God's the new one. And
yeah, he's the one.
In
Orzhov colors.
Golgari, there is Hapatra, who is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's already the 8th most popular green Golgari commander. Already overtaken Ishkana, and is getting close to overtaking Mazarek and potentially Skullbriar, and popping all the way up to 6th place. But she's not going to pass anybody else for a while, especially not frickin' Marin.
Yeah, right.
But no one else really fits -1/-1 counters either.
No, not really. This is weird. This is a weird space that Wizards is toying around with. They haven't. The last time they did -1/-1 counters was all about infect. It wasn't about -1/-1.
Yeah.
But you had that incidental focus on it with stuff like proliferate. But it wasn't the focus. The focus was 10 poison counters. That's all you cared about.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Anyway, we should get back to the topic at hand. So yeah, let's talk for the last thing about so the Scorpion King looks cool.
Oh wait, so the last 2 cards on here. So right when we started, they started showing off invocations. We saw one, and another one got announced while we were recording.
Yes, I saw that. I actually was looking on Twitter and I saw Saffron Olive. So they have shown off Invocation Damnation.
The meme is dead. They printed it again.
And Invocation Blood Moon, which looks so cool.
The artwork is really nice on this one. These are good spells for invocations. Even whatever you may feel about the card frame.
Oh,
these
we
are
also
good
forgot
cards
to mention in Metamorphosis 2.0, Morrow said no masterpieces all the time.
Oh yeah, we
has
left
none.
that out. they realized with invocations there wasn't a strong enough theme like there was for lands or there was for cool artifacts, and they realized that players are kind of, I don't want to say getting tired, they're getting too used to it. It's losing its uniqueness, it's losing its being special. So they decided the next time they do it, it's because they have a good idea they want to really capitalize on. So this isn't
like
a thing that's going to be around.
Theme or
Yeah.
a strong, or they're like, oh, it's been long enough. We have a cool. We can also make a cool frame because clearly the Amonkhet frames.
It's been controversial to say the least.
Yeah, that's a fair thing to say.
I was talking with my cousin about this the other night. They could definitely afford to cut down the number of cards that are in the invocation lit, or not invocation, sorry, the masterpiece list, because A, they don't have 2 sets to work with anymore. It's 1 set.
Yes.
So you could cut down the number of cards that are in that masterpiece grouping, and then just make them like have a masterpiece appear as frequently as always had, but be more likely to get one of these 10 instead of this one of these 25.
You know, it'd be really cool too. Since it seems like returns are going to start happening a little more frequently because we haven't had a return in a little while. Because we did Kaladesh, Amonkhet, and Ixalan. What do you want to bet that Dominaria has masterpieces and they're all old Dominarian cards?
Oh, that would be pretty cool.
For the returns, could you imagine?
The problem is I'm afraid there's like an overlap with iconic masters. If they have like Masterpiece Sarah Angel or whatever.
So what?
I'm just concerned about overlap.
It's a special, different print, Freeman.
Don't get me wrong.
We're
it's
talking
cool.
about two pure reprint things. Of course, it's going to happen.
Yeah, you're right.
But I'm excited, and I think it's cool to cut down. But we have one last thing to talk about for Hour of Devastation, other than the terrible new lightning bolt. You know, did you see this? Open Fire.
Open Fire.
This card that got spoiled.
Oh, this card.
We took a lightning bolt and then we stapled a mana on and we made lightning strike, and then we went even harder and we put another mana on it and made open fire.
I like how they make lightning strike. Like, this is just bad enough that it might see play, and it's like this dominant stand. Like, shit, we got to make it worse, or players are gonna keep playing this. I don't know what was wrong with lightning strike.
Better in incendiary flow, except it's not at all.
I don't know what was wrong with lightning strike. It's not that strong. It's.
So the final thing to talk about for Hour of Devastation, we now think we know what Eternalize is.
So we talked about this the other day with the game day promo, that like 1/1 Death Toucher for 2, and he had
Pouncer.
And he had Eternalize for, I think it was white 3, so for 5 mana. So we thought this must be some like really cool effect if this is at rare. But we saw our first other card that has Eternalize on it, which is
Steadfast Sentinel.
White 3 for a 2/3 Human Cleric Vigilance. And it has Eternalize for 6 mana, white 4. And the reminder text says for the 6 mana, exile this card from your graveyard. Create a token that's copy of it, except it's a 4/4 black zombie human cleric with no mana cost. Eternalize only as a sorcery. So what this did was, it's sort of like Embalm, except it doesn't create an exact duplicate. It doesn't have the same keywords and power toughness. It is a 4/4 zombie that has all of the type lines that it used to. So it's a human cleric. And based on this, I'm starting to think it might just be that everyone becomes a 4/4 zombie.
It seems likely.
Likely
for Adorned Pouncer.
Because they were willing to put it on there with no reminder text. And
4/4 double strike for 5 mana out of the graveyard. That's pretty rare.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an upgrade from Embalm. It's a new take on the same mechanic, which is what Wizards likes to do a lot with a second set.
Oh wait, no, you're right. Yeah, if it has a copy, it would have the keyword. Or I was reading as it not having the keyword.
You know what's weirder? Way weirder is the Steadfast Sentinel card and token have different power and toughness.
That's the real takeaway that we're looking here.
That's going to be weird.
I guess it's kind of an upgrade. The thing was, I read this and I'm like, it's like Mega Embalm, and I realized this was what Morrow was complaining about when he did his like year in review, talking about
Megamorph
the whole
is the lowest rated
block
mechanic we've ever had.
Yeah, it's like, why? Because the name is stupid. Like there was 2 parts. It was like the mechanic is dumb because it's just like, oh, it's morph with a 1/1 counter, and then the name is dumber. So what they did was they needed essentially Mega Embalm.
So what they did was they took him. They were like, we have this great idea for Mega Embalm, but how can we, or whatever, Mega X? Let's have a better idea. Let's instead of making a great name and then adding a stupid thing onto it, let's take a dumb sounding name, Embalm. It just means wrap in like prepare for mummification.
Yeah.
But then we can eternalize. That sounds hype.
The problem is eternalize is such a good keyword, and I thought I was going to do way more than this. Someone had a theory about
just embalm with a
someone had a
4/4.
theory about like creating an artifact that gave out whatever ability was on. I'm like, that would be cool. That's eternalizing, but it's just
dude,
more
it's eternal.
mega embalming.
You are eternally a 4/4 dead copy of yourself.
Yeah. I don't know. Now that I realize that I'm reading the card that you keep the keywords, this is better than I thought it was reading. I'm like, oh wow, the card doesn't matter. You're just a 4/4, but I forgot.
Yeah, because Steadfast Sentinel is not a terrible draft card because it's a 2/3 vigilance for 4, which is terrible, but then it's a 4/4 vigilance for 6 from the graveyard, which is value.
Yeah, that's actually not that bad. I actually can appreciate this mechanic a lot more now that I understand. I'm sitting here looking at that double striker going, he's a 5-mana 4/4 in the yard. What's so good about this? Not really, it's a 4/4 death striker out of the
Death Strike.
Double striker.
Imagine if there was a mechanic Death Strike.
Double strike death.
I mean, you leaked it from Wizards. It's ridiculous.
Sorry guys, I work for Wizards. I'm the leaker the whole time.
Speaking of leaks, you did it on purpose.
That was the transition.
We have to talk about leaks.
So
let's go in the way back machine. By way back,
let's
I
do
mean
some
like
history
3 weeks
about
ago.
FTG.
I mean like 3 weeks ago.
I was gonna go way back to talk about the last time we had a leak this big.
Oh no. We're keeping it recent to see how bad things have gotten.
I'll talk about it at some point in here to demonstrate, but let's get it.
So 3 weeks ago, we talk about, on one of the first podcasts, we talked about, hey, look, these commander cards from this dragon deck got spoiled. That sucks.
Man.
But man, some of these dragons are really cool. I helped Leslie build a deck while we were in Ohio. I helped her build a Dragon deck that is ready to be tested online once the cards are on Cockatrice with us, once I'm in Ohio. That's fine. Not the end of the world. That sucks that they came out early, but hey, hype for dragons.
I was honestly excited. We knew it was tribal decks. We didn't know how big they were going to go with it. And seeing 5-color dragons was honestly
real big.
Pretty cool. Hype. And now it's hyping me up for the stuff we don't know about. So it wasn't all bad having that leak.
And then last week, Hour of Devastation. 3 cards. Bonte's Last Reckoning. Ooh, we got new Wrath Spades. Oh, there's the Nicol Bolas. That really sucks.
Oh, that was the big one.
That card is so cool. And then, an even more crushing blow in some ways. Salmut is trash.
Not even that it got leaked, just now that we know how bad it is.
Now that we know how bad the second Planeswalker. Honestly,
it's such a travesty that we saw that card.
You know what I just remembered? When they did the video, because they put out the video trailer for Hour of Devastation. There is only one Planeswalker deck for this set. And there have been 2 for everyone. Samut doesn't get one. And is that because they couldn't find a way to make a worse version of her card to go on the box?
Just slap 2 more mana on it and call it a day.
Wow. Is that what happened here?
It honestly feels like an undercosted Planeswalker deck walker.
Well, regardless, Nicol Bolas, we got to see his stuff because they posted the video with that. So we now have a 4th Nicol Bolas card. That sucks, but it's only 3 cards. We don't have all.
Just to put it into context, this is only two weeks before spoiler season starts.
Yeah,
Nicol Bolas, technically speaking, he was unveiled tonight.
Yeah,
tonight would have been his reveal night.
Yeah, it sucks, but get hype because Nicol Bolas is sick. The card's good. Somewhat's terrible. That sucks. But Bonte's Last Reckoning, Wizards is trying some really cool new design direction because they have a 3-mana Wrath.
Yep.
And then yesterday.
Or no, Wednesday. No, you're right. It was yesterday. It was Thursday. This all happened.
Yesterday, I get up and I look on Twitter. What is this about Ixalan cards?
Yeah, someone posted a picture on my local Facebook group of this really dark foil sheet. I'm like, what's this?
Really blurry picture, but it's supposedly a picture from a cell phone. Somehow the oldest cell phone ever used. But it seems to be a picture of a foil sheet of Ixalan cards.
This can't be right.
That's crazy. That can't be real. That's not a leak. Oh, there's a second photo and it shows more cards.
And it has the cards from before still on it,
and a lot of the cards are still the same. Oh, that's weird. That's not. Well, some of these look at these cards. Hey, look at these dinosaurs and pirates. And hey, that's a Simic Merfolk legendary creature. Is that a legendary Planeswalker card?
Is that a Grixis pirate legendary
Grixis
creature?
Naya dinosaur. And
Oh my.
then today, someone posts a picture on Reddit of an entire foil sheet of Ixalan cards sitting on the floor of their home. Taken from about 20 feet too high in the air.
Just a little too blurry
with
to
a
read.
2 megapixel camera. Nothing is readable per se, but you can kind of make out a lot of the words. And you notice where things say legendary. Like I mentioned, that Naya dinosaur.
Yeah.
Leslie saw that and was like, well, now we know what the second commander set is. Is that what are all these cards? Look at all these cards. This is like
Oh my god,
a quarter of Ixalan actually just spoiled.
This was the hour of revelation. This was insane.
Oh my god.
I've
never seen a leak this bad in history.
The only time this has ever happened, and this wasn't the kind of leak where everyone on social media saw it. It was when New Phyrexia came out. They had the idea, instead of individually sending spoiler cards to news sites, they were just going to send out this book that had the complete set out to all of these verified journalists. And of course, the journalists leak it to these pro players. So these pro players are passing around this book that everyone kept calling the God Book, because there's no way in hell anyone had this book. It had to be a gift from God to have the full set a month before it was printed to be able to like play test.
Yeah.
And that was the last time Wizards had this big of a leak. And that was one where they actually gave out the book and just misinterpreted how well the
this seems to be
a
stolen sheet of Ixalan foils taken out of the printing factory.
Yeah. This is 3 months before this set's supposed to come out.
This is before spoilers have... This was posted this morning before those Hour of Devastation spoilers started on live stream, because there's a GP going on, and this actual spoilers don't start until like next week.
This is 24 hours after we get the principal artwork for the set. This came out.
And Freeman, the reason I said don't talk about it before, Freeman, I'm going to ask you to open the photo. Go on the Reddit. I'm sure you can find it. I'm actually staring at it.
All right, we'll pop this open.
Go to the photo. I'm sorry this isn't going to show up on camera or anything, but scroll all the way to the bottom row.
Wait, I can't see it, and there's too much shit from Hour of Devastation on here. What's the title of this article?
Oh, I'll send you the link real quick on Facebook, because this is important. This is for effect, everyone listening at home. You'll understand. So you have the link.
Yep.
Scroll all the way to the bottom.
Yep.
Now start working your way over and tell me when... See the Naya dinosaur? And we're back. Technical difficulties.
All right, yeah, all right. We're good. All right,
so back to tension building.
And I'm not fucking with my mic again.
So if you go 5 cards over from the bottom left, you see the Naya dinosaur. That's going to be Leslie's T-Rex commander.
Okay.
Now look at 2 cards.
There it is. It's a vehicle.
Not just one vehicle.
Not just one vehicle. There's
right
one with
above
brown. Wait a minute, is that a... Oh, it must be for a second I thought it was a blue vehicle.
Nope, just right above it though.
But there's more than one vehicle.
There are
I knew it.
2 vehicles, and
We're
both
on a boat.
pirate ships.
It's happening.
They are both pirate ships. We also see... I don't know if you noticed this, Freeman. There are 3 planeswalkers on this sheet.
What? There's 3?
There's a black and green all the way on the right.
I wonder who that is.
Probably Vraska. Then you go to... Because I've already stared at this thing 1,000 times. 3rd row down in the middle, you see what seems to be a shirtless guy who might be Jace.
That's definitely the Jace Walker we saw.
But if you look at the type, there's a word before Planeswalker, and people think that that's legendary.
Let's zoom in on these pixels. Enhance.
Zoom and enhance cliche from CinemaSins. Thank you.
It's
and
definitely
then
legendary.
The third...
Also, there's a vehicle next to it too. Or is that...
What?
Oh, no, that's the same one from further on the sheet. Yeah, because it's...
Oh, yeah, that is the vehicle again. I didn't even notice it there.
Yeah.
And then the third Planeswalker on the top right, down one, left one, you see a Boros woman with a dinosaur. And
Ooh.
it's unclear whether she has a generic mana cost or she's just a 2-cost walker.
I think
It's
it's
too
2. I
blurry.
can't tell if there's anything. Oh, you're right. It might be. We also have to deal with like foil blur
There's
on here.
literally like 1 pixel there that could be gray and could be generic mana, or it could be a 2-cost walker.
It's really ambiguous. I think it's 2 cost.
I don't think it matters.
It's Tibalt.
It's not. It's
It's not
Boros. You can tell the card is Boros.
Yeah, you're right. Just in the frame alone. I don't know. I'm nostalgic for old core sets. I was just happy to see the check lands are back.
There are check lands.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a leak.
This is huge.
This is pretty titanically awful. This is like Wizards suing a printing company because they let their employees walk out with this. An employee walk out with this.
The thing is, people were saying on one of the subreddit discussions is that along the bottom you can see this print pattern. That's unique to certain printers. So this may be telling of where this guy got the sheet from.
I'm sure it is.
I mean, obviously, Wizards has like one primary printer, but still. So, like, this is
monstrous breach of security.
We had... Yeah, I wrote this down. We want to have a little mini discussion about are the leaks bad for Magic the Gathering in general. And we were kind of excited when the Dragon leaks happened for Commander, but this is almost too much. This kills
too much.
So much excitement and hype building and marketing that Wizards is going to do around Ixalan. Right when Wizards is at this point where we need to turn around and A, prove to players that we can make good sets, and B, provide this fun, exciting environment that people are going to want to buy cards for. And now they just lost a major source of excitement because 3 months early, we already, we don't know 100%, but like, we know what to expect. We don't have this huge excitement of, holy shit, did you see that 2-mana Boros Planeswalker? It's like, oh, hey, look, they finally revealed the text on that card we knew about.
It's so...
Like, look, as a Magic player, I'm super excited.
But we can't not talk about it. It's like every podcast out there. It's like we can't ignore that this happened because it's news. It's a big deal.
Like, I don't like
that massive,
happened, but deep down inside, I really like that I get to look at new Magic cards. It's like the greatest.
Yeah,
high in the Magic universe.
Cardboard Crack is all about opening new packs. The only thing better is looking at brand new cards.
Yep.
And usually dismissing them as trash.
Playable and limited.
But we have new tribal cards like that banner.
Every
time a creature of a chosen type enters the battlefield, draw a card.
And that chosen type gets 1/1.
And I also noticed something new again this time when I've looked at it. Go back to the Boros Walker and go down 2 rows.
Yeah, legendary creature. It's in 2 colors.
There's some kind of new legendary 2-color creature.
Yep, I spotted one a little earlier.
There's also the legendary mono red pirate.
There's a story card that looks like someone's summoning some kind of like Leviathan in blue.
There is also a black story card. There is the Grixis pirate. There is...
Someone was trying to read a couple of these. They saw one that looks like it's like a 9-mana deal 20 to each creature and player card.
That.
There's a 7/6 trample hexproof can't be counted on here. In green 4. They printed a better Sagu Mauler. And I'm mad because I love that card.
It's astonishing how much is here.
It's so weird.
Nothing like this has ever happened before.
No, and I don't think any of this is going to happen again after this. I feel like Wizards is going to crack down after this happens.
There has to be some massive consequences for this. This can't just happen.
Yeah, right.
This comes at the worst time. They're trying to build all this hype for Amonkhet, and this just slices through that like a knife.
Like no one gives a shit about the Hour of Devastation trickle because they just got this flood of crazy shit from...
Dude, I'm a Reddit investigator.
Ixalan.
I can spend a week trying to rebuild the pixels of this terrible photo. Try to puzzle out this stuff. Like if I blurify the word dinosaur, these cards are the dinosaur cards.
And then the part that no one's really talking about is this will impact how people are going to purchase cards in the secondary market. If you already know like what kind of cards are coming in the next set.
Yep.
You might not build 100% into zombies, which we know is going to be rotated. Like that deck isn't going to have. It's going to have some loss when Eldritch Moon goes out.
But it will
Which
have some gains right now because of Hour.
Yeah, right now it's getting some good stuff, but people might not want to build into that knowing 100% that there's nothing in this next set that thematically seems like it would slot in.
You can start playtesting with ideas from Ixalan.
Yeah, if you have a couple cards where like this totally slots into an idea I have with existing stuff from Amonkhet and
As soon as you know the full set of Hour of Devastation, you can ignore the next 3 months and start building with Ixalan cards.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That is... Man. Good thing they're leaving the 2-block format. The 2-set
right.
block. Like, it just doesn't work anymore. What are you going to do?
Yeah, right.
Wow, that's just crazy. My God. But yeah, it's a crazy thing to see, to wake up and be like, oh, someone posted on Reddit entire foil sheet of Ixalan cards. What?
It was weird seeing this escalate because it went from there's no way this might be fake to like, wow, this guy must have a real sheet to holy shit, this looks like an actual real sheet. This has to be it.
This is totally real.
There's no way this
what
is fake.
What is happening in this world right now? This is real. Crazy times, man.
Yeah, no one's gonna deal with the thing I'm really upset about. There's no enemy fixing here.
Ugh.
I'm like actually mad about this.
Maybe in
this is like the least. This is like the least. This is the least of anyone's concern. That's just my minor gripe about seeing this sheet.
Well, we should probably just stop now because we've been going for an hour.
We've been
going
for way too long. Yeah, this is a fun bonus podcast.
This is a fun bonus podcast.
Tyler would have hated us trying to like
cram all this down.
this.
We couldn't have compressed all this stuff. That's why I think it was good
rapid
that we
fire
did this
in 30 minutes. Mostly because this full sheet didn't come out until after.
Yeah,
we would have had
no,
just,
like I said, it was really important that we waited till today.
That was probably the best call I've seen out of this group in a long time.
But anyway, everybody, feel free to post questions. Excuse me.
Both related to Magic and otherwise.
Well, obviously go listen to the real episodes of the TNT podcast. They've been coming out lately. We're recording this before episode 6 officially releases on YouTube. It's released on like Twitter and Facebook, but I haven't released it elsewhere because I haven't had time because I'm moving. But hopefully things will calm down once I am moved in next week and have internet again and such. So, but anyway, this will come out. I don't know when. Maybe we'll put this out like Monday night or something, or Sunday night to kind of lead into the week. That's probably what I'll do.
Yep.
It's like Tim's moving in right now and doesn't have internet, but here's a podcast.
And then, unlike what we said in episode 6, it sounds like we're going to be recording episode 7 as scheduled, as opposed to skipping because of your lack of internet.
Because I had a huge craziness for the last 2 days, but it means I'm going to have internet on time. So, but anyway, leave questions or any thoughts on the leaks, 25th anniversary stuff, all good stuff.
Yep.
But thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you next Wednesday, hopefully. Or next Thursday because of release on the TNT podcast.
See you next time.